Today we're talking about the imperfect tense. Remember that the imperfect tense only has two endings, right? All the regular verbs in the imperfect have two sets of endings. They either have AR endings, which are aba, abas, aba, and so on. ER and IR verbs have ia, es, and ia, and all that. So anytime you want to conjugate a regular AR, ER, IR verb in the preterite, you're going to use either aba or ia. That's simple. Two rules, aba or ia. Of course, we have irregulars, but there are only three. That's the nice part about it. There's only three: ser, ir, and ver. And you can see that right here. Ser is era, eras, era, and so on. And éramos has an accent over the e. And then we've got ir, which has iba, ibas, iba, and so on, and has an accent over the I in íbamos. And then ver, which has an accent over all the i's. Some people argue that it's not really irregular, but it is because we leave the E in. We want to talk about the meaning and usage of the imperfect as well. It's a simple past tense. It's the other past tense from there's preterite, and now we're doing the imperfect. This is all a review, so all this stuff is stuff you should remember. The first usage of the imperfect is to indicate an action that was in progress in the past. So this is when you're telling a story. Yo cantaba mi canción favorita, estábamos muy cansados. I was singing my favorite song, we were feeling very tired. We were on our way to school, we were walking to school, things like that. When you are talking about an action that was in progress, usually when something else occurred. So usually when you're using this usage of the imperfect, you're going to have a preterite verb follow that. The second usage of the imperfect is to indicate a customary repeated action. So this is like something that you did every Sunday or something that you did often or from time to time. So this is going to be the time that when you see like the word cada, which means each, that'll probably indicate imperfect. When you see de vez en cuando, which means from time to time. When you see words like a menudo, which means often, words like that indicate something happened repeatedly or all the time. You could also see like sometimes you'll say like los lunes, like I did that on Mondays. Remember los lunes? Anytime you wanted to say on whatever days, you're going to use the article el or lo. Also, when you're talking about time of day, day of the week, date, anything like that, that is always, always, always imperfect. So anything, day, date, time, weather, those are all going to be imperfect without a doubt. That's never going to change. And then last you're going to use the imperfect with is talking about descriptions. So we talked about this earlier. Anytime you want to paint a picture, set the scene for something else. So this is a lot like category A as well. You can see that it says note that this is really another subcategory of A above, and it is. You're just setting the scene, and if you look back up top, A is setting the scene too. You're talking about something that was in progress, so you're setting the scene just like in part D. So this is like anytime you'd be telling a fairy tale, you'd be setting the scene, Cinderella was the maid, Cinderella was beautiful, Cinderella had stepsisters, etc., etc. That's all setting the scene for us to tell a story. The last two things we're going to talk about are kind of special usage. You probably remember from last year talking about hacer with expressions of time to say however long ago. So now when you use it in the imperfect, you're going to be talking about I had been doing this for so long. So you can either use hacer, you can say hacía tres horas que, it had been 3 hours, 4 or since or whatever, or you could just say trabajaba desde hacía tres horas. So you are conjugating hacer in some way. It is always going to be hacía. You are going to conjugate hacía to talk about this prior past action to say kind of like ago. Part B really explains this well. The imperfect tense is basically the present tense backshifted to past time. Remember that the present, not the present perfect, is used to indicate an action begun in simple past time, continuing on to the present. So this is a really good description of it. I have been working for 3 hours. When you use hace, when you say hacía 3 horas que trabajo, I had been working for 3 hours. So a lot of you may mistake this for the present perfect, but it's in fact not. It'll be the preterite. Also, you can replace hacer with the verb llevar to talk about this, but you need the gerund when you use that. So, llevaba 3 horas trabajando. I had been working for 3 hours. So you use the llevar in the preterite plus the period of time plus the gerund, which is the ando or iendo. Tomorrow I'm not going to explain this again. We're not going to go over it again in class. If you have questions, you should be taking notes on this video, and then you should be writing questions in the margin if you have any, so we can talk about those tomorrow. If you don't have any questions, you should be ready to just start working on imperfect tense tomorrow. And we'll do that most of tomorrow, and we'll do a little bit of reviewing, and then Friday we're going to take a chapter test. So we're going to take a test over the 2 sets of vocabulary, preterite, imperfect. If you have any questions about that, we can talk all about that Thursday. So remember, take imperfect notes, write down any questions that you have, be ready to work with the imperfect in class, and then we're going to review as well for the test on Friday.